Top Notch family, what is going on? So, in today's video, we are going to be doing a playoff preview. The New York Knicks have officially defeated the Boston Celtics, and the Pacers already defeated the Cavaliers. So now we're going into the Final Four Eastern Conference Finals, the Pacers and Knicks, and we're going to break it down and who I got advancing to the NBA Finals. Now, before we do start today's video, if you guys enjoy NBA content just like this, I would appreciate it if you smash that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications, comment, like, and all that good stuff. Enough of that. Let's get back in today's video. So this is the playoff bracket right here. So we're still waiting for the Thunder and the Nuggets to play Game 7, which is going to happen tomorrow to decide who plays the Timberwolves. Now, for the Pacers and Knicks, man, this is going to be a fun Eastern Conference. And also, it's going to be the first time that one of these players are going to be winning a ring because the Boston Celtics are no longer here. And I think that's amazing for the NBA. Now, the first thing that we are going to start off with is the NBA standings for both of these teams, how they went throughout the season. So you got the New York Knicks, who went 51-31 in the regular season. They were 34-18 at their conference record, 27-14, and 24-17 away. Now the Pacers, on the other hand, they're 29-11, 29-22 at their conference record, and 20-20 away. So that's kind of their season stuff, right? The things I do point out to me a little bit is that the Pacers away record is not the greatest, and that's going to play a factor. But also in this postseason, they've been winning away and home. So, obviously that's going to play an impact, when you struggle beginning of the season. Now, they did play 3 to 4 times in the regular season, of course. And just starting from here, October 25th, and obviously teams are both different, but the Pacers got destroyed. 98-123. And when we look at the stats, Siakam only had 12, Nesmith had 4, Turner had 13, Tyrese Halliburton had 0 points in 26 minutes of action. So as you see, the main stars struggled. You're not going to typically see Tyrese Halliburton have 0 points. And Mathurin had 20 points, which was the leading scorer for the Pacers. And then for the Knicks, obviously their big 5 had a big factor with Hart putting up 20, OG putting 14, Towns with 21, Bridges with 21 and 26. And this is what the team really relies on, is obviously their starting 5, because they don't really have much depth compared to the Pacers, which we're going to get in details with for sure. Then the next game was November 10th, 2024. As you see, the New York Knicks did lose this game. Josh Hart did have 16, OG Anunoby had 25. Towns had 30, Bridges had 8, and Jalen Brunson had 33. Once again, this is like an 8-man rotation, and these players are not even on the team. Like, he's not even on the team no more. He just doesn't play much, right? And then when we look at the Pacers, Mathurin has been awesome in the series against the Knicks. First game, he had 20. This game, he had 38 points in 41 minutes of action. Siakam had 14. Turner had 26. Tyrese Halliburton had 35 and 14, which this is more the Tyrese Halliburton that we all know. Like, he's not going to go out there and score 0 points. So obviously right there, the season series is 1-1. And then February 11th, it was the Knicks won again, 128-115, where Josh Hart had 30 points. Precious Achiuwa had 9. Karl-Anthony Towns had a monster game, putting up 40 points. And then obviously more depth players were playing in this game right here. Jalen Brunson typically had 8 points in 23 minutes of action. I'm sure something had to happen, because there's no way he's playing 23 minutes of action here. Either got injured or fouled out, something, because you have players like Landry Shamet getting minutes and Cameron Payne with 24. But the Knicks still found a way to win this game. So when you look at the season series, it looks like the Knicks had the advantage of it a little bit. But necessarily, season series do play a factor, but it also doesn't play a factor. So just kind of want to throw that's in there of some players were out, some players were injured. Jalen Brunson struggling, Tyrese Halliburton struggling. Cool. Both teams struggled, right? I think another fun part was, if you guys watch WWE, Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Brunson, like, they were kind of trying to build up a feud. And now that it's realistic, they're going to be going back at it. I love it. Now, when we look at the offensive rating for both teams, when you look at it, eliminated, could be eliminated, right? But then you got the top dogs left. So technically the Knicks are the number 1 offense right now, because all these teams have a good chance of being eliminated unless OKC stays and stuff like that, right? But their Knicks are 118.5, which is pretty darn good. 5th best offensive rating in the league. And then you got the Pacers at 116.5. So obviously the New York Knicks do have the edge with their offensive rating over the Pacers. And then when you look at the defensive rating for both teams, which I'm going to show on the screen right here, once again, when you see it, a lot of these teams are eliminated. Thunder is still here, number one defense, of course, but the Magic eliminated, Clippers eliminated, Rockets eliminated, Celtics eliminated, Timberwolves are still here, Warriors eliminated, Cavaliers eliminated, Heat, Grizzlies, and then you got the Pacers and the Knicks fighting for 13 and 14. So they're not in the top 10 or anything like that, but I will say the Pacers defense has gotten better throughout in the postseason. So these are kind of more regular season stats and stuff like that, but they definitely have gotten better. And so has the Knicks because they won games defensively. Shout out to Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Now, when we look at it, right, for both teams, the New York Knicks, their postseason, who has been going off in 12 games so far? Obviously, Jalen Brunson has been amazing. In my opinion, he's the best point guard in the Eastern Conference, averaging close to 29 points a game, 4 rebounds, 7.7 assists, dealing with injuries. But, I mean, he has been dominating in both series, like literally both series. The Pistons, the Boston Celtics, which everybody had the Celtics winning the series. But before the Tatum injury, the New York Knicks was just the better team than the Boston Celtics. Like they just was. They were playing very, very good defense. And just even if the Celtics go on runs, the Knicks will always find a way to come back. We traded for Karl-Anthony Towns, so he's averaging a double-double, 20 and 11. You're probably going to need a little bit more in this series, but you know, their core, OG and Anunoby averaging 16, Mikal averaging 15, Hart with 13. And then this is where it gets a little nervous, but you do run a 7-man rotation with Miles McBride because he can get hot. He's a very good shooter. And then Mitchell Robinson, which he has been a huge impact outside of the free throws. Like the 7-man rotation, I'm completely fine with. And then sometimes they throw in Cameron Payne. Maybe they throw in Landry Shamet in this series. We'll see what happens. But I'm more confident with their 7. And that's completely fine because, you know, in the playoffs, unless you're like the OKC Thunder or maybe even the Pacers, you know, your depth isn't that long, right? And when we look at the Pacers, this team is just deep in general. And I mean, like Pascal Siakam is their leading scorer, averaging 18 points a game, but their best player is Tyrese Halliburton, right? He's averaging 17.5 points and 9.3 assists. Miles Turner has been huge in the postseason, 16.5. Nembhard, 14.6. Neesmith, 14.6. Mathurin, 10.9. McConnell, Toppin, Shepard, Thomas Bryant. So they go with their starting 5 typically. Then they go with Mathurin, McConnell, Toppin, which is already 8 right there. And they even go Thomas Bryant. And sometimes they even go Ben Shepherd. They could potentially go 10 deep in this series, again, depending who's struggling and who's not. But, you know, I favor the Pacers' depth over the New York Knicks because Tom Thibodeau literally plays his starters 40-plus minutes, which, I mean, it has been working. It has been working. I will say it has been working because they're just a talented team. But I definitely prefer, obviously, the Indiana Pacers. Right now, the big question is, what's your prediction out of this series? Now, let's talk about a couple matchups. Right, when you think about it, right? So you could throw Nembhard, Neesmith at Brunson, right? Like you could throw that. They're a good defensive team. Miles Turner guarding Karl-Anthony Towns, a good defender. Tyrese Halliburton, of course. I'm not too sure what matchup they'll probably put on. Maybe the Josh Hart assignment. I think that would make more sense. But then possibly could be in foul trouble. But I don't want Tyrese Halliburton on Jalen Brunson. Like if it's a switch, cool. But like you want your best defenders, and Nembhard offensively is a playoff riser. Defensively, he has been amazing, right? So I would throw Neesmith and Nembhard at the Brunson matchups. Then you got the Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. I'm going to have Pascal Siakam guarding OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. You could possibly throw in one of the other players. If it's Neesmith that's not guarding Tyrese Halliburton, you could throw him there. So I feel like they do match up with this team. And then they just have the better depth that, you know, is going to get the Knicks players tired, in my opinion, because they're a fast-paced team. Like Pacers move quick. And if the Pacers have a lead, they're not going to blow the lead, right? One thing about the Pacers, too, is they're a good comeback team. Like they showed it in the postseason. They did it in the Milwaukee Bucks series, and they did it in the most recent series that they were just in. You know what I mean? Like, and this is not a fluke. Maybe if they did it once, you'd be like, well, that's just a fluke. That's just luck, this and that. No, but they constantly do it, right? The Bucks should at least won another game, but the Pacers pressure, their full court pressure on the Milwaukee Bucks passing the ball, and they kept forcing turnovers and getting easy buckets, and that's how they came back. They did it this recent series too. So I think that the defensive pressure, obviously, the Pacers with the more depth. Um, I'm gonna be personally rolling with the Pacers. The way that they destroyed the Cavaliers 4-1 and made it look easy was the Cavaliers had probably every best statistical stat um in the regular season was completely amazing. But I'm not gonna discredit the Knicks at all, right? This is their first Eastern Conference in however long. Like, that's completely amazing. What they did to the Boston Celtics, the defending champs, was amazing defensively, right? Because they got their ways where you can go Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson's very unstoppable. He really is. But I do think the Pacers win this series um, with their depth, good defensive team. Tyrese Halliburton has been playing his best basketball, and I'm just gonna be rolling with them in 6. I think this is gonna be a great series. I think the Knicks could win this series, but my opinion, I got Pacers in 6. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed today's video. Keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all, and I'm out.